Okay, so we got a 2011 Hyundai Sonata. Customer says clunk in the steering wheel. Pretty common in these Hyundais and Kias. They have an electric power steering unit. They don't have a power steering pump. We're going to show you how to fix that. So before you even start trying to take this steering column out, or anytime you're doing anything dealing with any wires that you got to unplug, you want to unhook this battery first. 10 millimeter. Now we can get started. All right. So this Hyundai Sonata, you want to start right here. Pull this piece of rubber down a little bit. Get you a little flathead. You want to pop that out of there. You got a screw here. Got one here. There's another screw right there. Another one right there. That's what we're going to get first. All right, so after you get them screws out, right there, you see the little black tab? You need to get it to pop up around that. You also got one down here. Get them before you try pulling on this piece. All right, so after you get that plastic shield freed up, don't pull on it. You got to get these plugs right here. You just push the tab and pull them. Once you get that freed up, sorry about that, you got two more plugs right here. The OB2 port and this little plug here. Push the tabs on each side for the OB2 port, and then you got one tab on this one. Get them out of there. Now that we got that moved, we're gonna go after these 10 millimeters. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, so now we got that moved. We're gonna work on this cover right here. You should have one, I don't know if you can see it, Phillips head bolt. You could also use the 7 millimeter. Now you're gonna have to turn your steering wheel sideways. You got one here, then turn it sideways and get one on the other side. So one here, one on the other side. So now that we got that, we're gonna get these wires. If you just look around the column, there's a couple of them. Remember to make sure your battery's unhooked before you do that. All right, so now we're gonna get this screw right here to move this little piece out of the way. Then we got a plug right there, another plug right here. There's a couple different ways you can pull this thing out. You can pull this pin and a big bolt in the back and unhook your steering arm, or you can unhook your steering arm and pull these bolts up here. But if you go that route, it's a little harder to get it back in, but either one will work. Alright, so now we about to unhook the steering column from the rack and pinion down here in the bottom. Turn that light where you can see it a little bit. 12mm bolt right there. Alright, but before you do this, if you ain't done this many times, you need to mark this part and the shaft that it's coming off of on the rack and pinion. But I've done this more than once, and I've got the steering wheel straight, I got the wheel straight, and we're gonna put it back on straight. We got the 12mm hooked up, little extension, my trusty little D-Walt. We're gonna run this bolt out. Alright, now we got that bolt out. We're gonna take a pry bar, slide it right up under there. Let's see if we get you a better view. See where I got it right there? Just start working it up. You may have to play with it for a minute. Alright, we got the steering shaft on the column out of the rack and pinion. It was a little tight, you just kind of got to work with that a little bit. Now, we're going to go after these 4 bolts. 1, 2, and then 2 more on the other side. Now we got them bolts down, steering column's laying down. We're gonna need to unplug that big wire right there. And we got a couple of plastic clips we gotta pop loose. One on behind that. But the problem is right up under this motor. You could probably fight it and do it right there, but we're gonna take it on out so I can give you a good view. Well, we got it out. You actually didn't have to get this big plug out. You just had to pick this wire up around the brake light switch. But again, the problem's up under here. We're going to take these star heads out, the darker colored ones, and we're going to flip that motor over. So on this particular car, a T30 is what you'll need. We're going to use the T30 on these black star heads and take them out. Well, just like I thought, that little rubber gear, plastic gear, is all chewed up. It does it on every one of these Kias and Hyundais. There's a lot more that has it too. This job applies to all kinds of makes and models. Pretty much anything that has the electric power steering. But see that little bushing in the middle? See what it looks like? That's what it's supposed to look like. So we're going to get it cleaned up. Maybe use some carburetor spray, get it good and cleaned up. And we're going to put it back together. Alright, we got it cleaned up pretty good. Now we're going to put this new one in here. Fits down in there nice and tight. Now we're putting this back on. Might take you a minute to get it just right. So now we got that back in there. I started the bolts with my finger. Now we're going to put this T30 back on them. With the old D-Walt. If you ain't got one of these little D-Walts, think about that. They're good. For the money, can't beat them. All right, now we're ready to go back in. All right, we got it back in. Remember, when you're going back up with it, watch out not to break your brake pedal switch, your brake light switch at the top of your brake pedal. Start with getting them 4 bolts in, 2 on this side, 2 on the other side. After you get those 4 in, turn the steering wheel straight. And now we're going to put the shaft back on the bottom. All right, so we got the column back in. We about to hook these wires back up. Turn signal switch, windshield wiper switch, airbag. We about to plug all that back in. Put these plastic covers back on. All right, we got her back together. We got her back together. Clunking sound's gone. Remember, Hyundai, Kia, anything with electric power steering's got that same little bushing. Maybe this helps some of y'all out. Help me out. Hit subscribe.